Okay, hi everyone. So Hannah and Sierra here. We are eating psychology coaches, mind body nutrition. I'm also a diet recovery and weight neutral coach, and we have worked with hundreds of women over the past, gosh, 8, 9 years. And we want to talk to you guys today about warning signs your relationship with exercise might be toxic. So, this topic came up because I was talking with some friends. And I actually work at an infrared studio at called Hotworks, and Hannah also works at a stretch lab. So we are in the fitness world. So with our eating psychology backgrounds and diet recovery backgrounds, we're still in the fitness world because we love fitness, we love health. And it gives us lots of opportunities to hear and be engaged in conversations around health. And this was a big one that comes up for me, and especially this past week. So we wanted to dive into this topic of exercise, right? So, my dear friend was just sharing how guilty she felt and how gross she felt because she missed a couple days of working out, even though she was tired, and was just feeling really guilty. She feels guilty for missing her workout, and that is so common. Like Hannah and I hear that all the time in our coaching practice. So, we want to talk about a few signs that you need to look out for, red flags that you might have a toxic relationship with exercise.
I mean, and exercise and movement is important, right? Like we think you should move your body. I mean, I stretch people for a living and I am a big advocate of moving, but what does it look like if it is unhealthy? And what does it look like when it is healthy? And we'll talk about the things that, what a relationship with exercise should look like. So let's talk about the first one. Like this is a big one too. So question for you. If you work out all the time, how do you often feel if you skip a day? If you skip going to the gym, do you feel guilty about it? Do you beat yourself up about it? Do you have all these thoughts of like, oh my gosh, I'm going to gain weight or I'm going to lose my strength if I don't go work out? So that is the first sign. If you skip a workout that you've had planned, if you feel guilty about it, then that is a true sign, a warning that there might be some kind of toxic relationship with working out, skipping a meal. Skipping exercise does not mean that, actually, it really shouldn't mean anything. I mean, it shouldn't mean anything.
Yeah. Yep. Like if you feel lazy, like, God, I'm a lazy, or maybe you're anxious, like you feel anxiety, like, oh, like I need to get my workout in, or you feel like you need to make up for it, like you do double the next day. There's a sign that's kind of a warning sign that you might be using those workouts as a punishment rather than taking care of yourself. So
Mhm.
next one is you exercise or do workouts to earn food or to burn off food. So again, movement, we use the word movement in our programs and when we're coaching people rather than exercise or working out. Movement should be about feeling good in your body, not about compensating for what you eat. So if you feel like you have to work off a meal or, you are punishing yourself for having that cupcake, this is definitely a sign of a toxic cycle.
Okay, how about another one? This is kind of similar to like skipping days. Like, do you give yourself rest days? And what do you do on those rest days? Do you feel anxious about having a day that you don't go to the gym or that you don't work out or you don't do anything? Think about this, like your body, like when we work out, we're tearing muscles. And so there does need to be recovery. And I remember me and Sierra both were avid worker outers. We would exercise all the time, we would move all the time. And I rarely gave myself a rest day, and it was always hard when I did give myself a rest day because then I felt like I needed to double up or work out more the next day or limit what I ate, was also another big thing. So think about your body needs that rest. Are you feeling like anxious around that day? And even think of those thoughts, similar thoughts to, am I lazy? Am I being lazy? Am I all the things that you might say about yourself on those rest days?
Another thing is you push through pain or sickness or exhaustion. Exercising when you're injured or sick or mentally burnt out can do more harm than good. Rest is just as important as movement. So if you find yourself at the gym and you're sick, or you have an injury but you're trying to push through it, that is a big red flag. That's a big warning sign that your relationship with exercise is disordered. Distorted. Another big red flag there.
Another is like all or nothing.
Yes, all
So
or nothing.
you got if you so think if you skip a day, then you feel like, oh my gosh, well, I just ruined it. I got to start over. Or you just never go back because you're like, I've already ruined it. So I'm just going to go off the deep end. I'm just not going to do it anymore. And so there's this all or nothing. And there's nothing wrong with being all in, right? Like taking care of your health, doing the things you want to, but we need some flexibility in our life. We need to be able to be flexible. If this something comes up and you're not able to work out, that is like, okay, cool, not a big deal. Next day, you just go right back to it. It's not this big him and haw thing where you're like you've ruined everything in your life that now that you skipped a day or whatever.
Absolutely. And with that, like I know that this used to be a big struggle for me, and like Hannah used to be like a she was a full ride softball or full ride volleyball scholarship athlete. And, I was a competitive swimmer and dancer and just, but when your worth is tied to your workouts, like
Mm.
you only feel good enough or you only feel worthy, you only feel like, yeah, your self-worth is wrapped up in your exercise rather than who you are as a person. Like, look how many days I worked out in a row, or look how much I can lift, or man, I went this amount of days without eating carbs, or like, I mean, all of that is like really tying your worth. Like, I'm not worthy or I'm not good unless I have a flat stomach. Or I'm a piece of crap if you can't see my arm muscles, right? So tying your worth as a person to your exercises and to your body is a big red flag. And the
Well,
problem is, we'll talk more about that. Yeah, go ahead.
well,
Yeah.
even I was going to say, like, even like the amount of time that you spend at the gym, your work can be tied into that. Well, I spent an hour in the gym and I did this, this, and this. And like, if you go in and you only spend a short amount of time or you don't do everything you want to do, like that, your work can be tied into that of like, well, I'm not good enough. I'm not doing enough, which then causes that whole cycle all over again. So, what should we do? What does a healthy relationship look like with exercise or movement? And I think that's number one right there is switching the term to exercise to movement. Because I ask that question to my clients that come in and I go, so what do you do to stay active? And then I have them rate themselves on like a scale of 1 to 10. What is their activity level? They look at me like, what, when I work out or just in general? And when we need to like think about movement as movement. If you're cleaning your house, that is movement. If you're doing some yard work, that is movement. There's so much that we can equate in moving our body and taking care of our health. It's not just exercise, going into the gym and doing that, and that's all you do. It's like look at it as a bigger picture of moving your body, getting on the floor and playing with your kids, crawling on the ground, like going to the park and getting on the monkey bars or going down a slide. That is movement and play and so healthy for the body. So look at it like movement as a broader, bigger, expanded view, and they'll help you just like begin to embrace it a little bit more and not have such a segmented way of looking at exercise.
Hannah and I get to experience that now, and where I'm experimenting. So after years and years and years of like really like not tracking food, not tracking my workouts, I I was in a car accident a couple of years ago where I couldn't lift a pound. I couldn't do any major exercises because I was hurt. And I'm back into this place where I'm ready to build muscle and get strength back. And it's been really fun to be back in the gym lifting weights again, but from a healed place, right? Like I'm not attached. Like if I miss a day, it's no big deal. I it's a very healthy balance. Like if, I can't get to the gym that day or I'm really tired and I just feel like I need some extra sleep or, like I'm not scheduling my workouts and obsessing about when to get to the gym. It just really feels freeing. I feel just as good on my rest days as I do the days I work out. I I People will ask me, and we've had this too, Hannah, in our coaching calls. People will say, "Well, like, how do you stay motivated to work out?" And I'll say, like, I don't need there's no motivation for me. Motivation is when you have to force, right? Like motivation is like pushing yourself to do something. And that's not where my workouts come from. I work out because I'm inspired to, because it feels good in my body and I like it. And my worth is not tied up in my physical body. My worth is not tied up in my exercise. So I'm not exercising to punish or change my body. I'm doing my workouts because it feels good. It's a choice, not an obligation, not because I'm trying to lose weight, not because I'm trying to like like punish myself for having a fluffy belly, like none of that. It's really because I'm inspired to. When you're coming from a place of inspiration and non-attachment, things are really a heck of a lot easier and it's empowered.
Think of inspiration comes from inside, from that deep place within inside of you. Motivation comes from something outside of you, trying to
Yes.
motivate. And that's why it's so much harder to be motivated to go do something when it's not something that's really in you of like, I really want to like do this for myself and I'm inspired to do this action, you know? And then also it's like finding the things that you enjoy. You have to find the things that you enjoy or else you will not do it. And not
Right.
to say there's some things like so for stretching, I'm just gonna relate it to what I do. There are some stretches that I get to do, even though I don't necessarily like them so much because I they're good for me. The same thing, like sometimes we got to do things that aren't very comfortable and fun, but we know that it's coming from a place of like to support us in our health and get us closer to our goals of what we're looking for. So just
And
to put that
maybe
out there, it's not
lifting.
always fun and beautiful and butterflies.
Right,
It's how
right,
you're gonna
right.
put the
Sometimes,
work into
like,
it.
yeah, there's things that you're like, okay, like I don't love this, but like I'm gonna push myself a little bit. And like knowing when to push yourself and when not is a comes from a healed place.
Hmm.
And maybe like lifting weights and like running and like all this stuff, you're like, that's not fun. So what is fun for you? I just started teaching water aerobics and like it is so fun and I get a killer workout. I love dancing. Like, I love dancing around with my kids at home. Like, that's movement, taking a walk with my husband. Okay, so exercise doesn't have to look a certain way, right? Like,
Mhm.
it gets to be free and fun. And, if it's not free and fun and it feels like a punishment, just know that, like, you're not alone. This is not something like this is a struggle for many people. And so it is possible to shift from a place of punishment to empowerment. So we would love to hear, like, what's your relationship with working out? Like, what comes up for you? Do you need some support? Let us support you. We'll, message back and forth, drop us a comment, shoot us a message. We'd love to talk with you more about creating an exercise plan that's actually fun and inspiring, and we can help you and guide you along that process.
Yes, awesome. And just think like we're talking about this, it's beyond the food, beyond like what is really underneath our behavior and what we're doing to make our health better. So thanks for joining us, you guys.